Hello, good evening. I'll give you an overview of the previous chapters that we covered in my book, Zimbabwe, My Home, My Frustration. The first chapter looked at the historical background of Zimbabwe. Great people with great minds, starting from 1890 up to present day Zimbabwe. It looks at the majestic Victoria Falls, the great Zimbabwe, the great architecture of its own kind. It looks at the rich language and culture of Zimbabwe, the various political parties in their early stages, ZAPU and ZANU. It also looks at the liberation struggle of the 1970s, culminating into 1980, first majority democratic elections, which actually brought the majority rule in Zimbabwe. I then moved to chapter 2. Now, chapter 2 gave a sort of a helicopter view of my childhood. It was very important to link my historical perspective with my childhood, because my first 6 years I lived in a protected village, then called Capes, in Dande Valley during the liberation struggle, with the war was raging around us and we were under curfew 6 to 6. Such exposure to war at a young age had a profound impact to how I behave, to my engagement with the outside world and other people. For nothing that you experience cannot become part of you. So sometimes I reflect that my involvement in politics today, for a better Zimbabwe, and a true democratic Zimbabwe for that matter, has a resonance to my growing up as a youth during the 1970s. I then moved on to chapter 3, where I looked at the formation of MDC as a process rather than an event, and how Morgan Tsvangirai emerged as a national leader of the new movement. Again, moving into the February 2000 referendum, to which Robert Mugabe was defeated, and how he had then unleashed violence against the people of Zimbabwe, and the farm invasion that actually followed thereafter. So chapter 3 sort of gave the early formation of MDC, its leadership, its challenges, and the violence that it followed after the referendum. I then looked at chapter 4. Chapter 4 looked at the forensic events of Bindura. A brutal encounter with Bordagesi, was a very brutal person who murdered, maimed, destroyed property, unleashed violence against not only the people of Bindura, but people beyond the province of Marsh Central. I also looked at the battles of the two Elliots, to which I was also an MP candidate against Elliot. Again, a very brutal person who became the commissar of ZANU-PF. I also looked at the murder of my brother, among other murders that were perpetrated to the opposition party by ZANU-PF stalwarts in Marsh Central. And then I moved on to chapter 5, where I introduced the EP model of politics in Zimbabwe. An opposition being an inverse triangle of ZANU-PF. More like in the structure of Maslow's law. is epitomized by the leadership, the membership, and the support base. I also looked at Mugabe as one of the 8th richest person in Africa with over 3 billion in terms of worth. And then on the under chapter 5, I included a research on similarities between the brutality of Robert Mugabe as a tyrant and the previous tyrants with regard to, in terms of the time of the month that those people, their birthdays, how do they relate? Is Robert Mugabe's 21st birthday of February different from Saddam Hussein, Agostino Pinochet? And I struck as similarities. I realized that leaders who were born between the 20th and the 30th of the month tend to become dictators. And I gave an example of Robert Mugabe, born 21 of February, Saddam Hussein, 28 of April, Benito Mussolini, 29 of July, Augusto Pinochet, 25 of November, and Adolf Hitler, the 20th. And all these people, birthday fall between the 20th and 30th of the month. Is it by coincidence? I don't know, you tell me. But this was my research and my findings. And today we'll be looking at chapter 6, in which I look at the debate of Heroes' Day as to who are supposed to be heroes and who should declare one a hero, and whether the people who lay at the hero's acre today deserve to be heroes. So join us as we discuss further on chapter 6. Thank you.